Hello, this is Spellbinder doing a video on overpopulation that isn't. The world is not overpopulated. You've been lied to. You've been taught this in school. You've been parroting mathematics and information for decades now. All they want you to do is learn what they want you to learn. They don't want you to improve upon it. Ever try to ask questions that is relevant to what you're learning, just to be shut down by the teacher because you're questioning authority? Say that you don't believe dinosaur bones are millions of years old, maybe only 100,000 years old, and they shut you down for that thought. Just check out ancient archaeology, or forbidden archaeology as it's called, by Childress and Crane, Cremio, and others out there who have done their research, finding footprints of man next to dinosaur footprints, meaning that dinosaurs and man are either older, or it's really that the dinosaurs disappeared sooner through some catastrophe about 13,000 years ago. But that's another topic. We're talking about population problems here that doesn't exist, that the elitists want you to believe in. I was suggested to do a video on this by Spaceman 131326. He said this would be a good thing to do a video on, and I agree. We've been lied to long enough, as well as with the carbon scam that's out there. Remember, temperature doesn't rise because of carbon dioxide. If you want to know the truth, the temperature rises first, then the carbon dioxide rises, not the other way around. It's a fact. Get over it. Get it through your head. It's a fact. Get over it that we're not having global warming or climate change because man's doing it. It never has and never will be. And overpopulation is another myth that they're trying to shove down your throat to cause population reduction, so the elitists will have something to control easier. And that's all that's about. What we got here is the entire population of the world, which is almost 7 billion. And I'm going to tell you that we can fit everyone in Texas. Everyone can have 1,000 square feet in Texas. And that'll fit the entire 7 billion people. That's adding more than there is. And they'll all fit within 1,000 feet of each other in Texas. I know it's not ideal condition or anything, but it is a point. It shows how small and insignificant we are on this planet. We're not destroying the planet. The corporations are destroying the planet. They're the ones out there polluting, these international corporations, like in China. Just look at the area where they have all the factories. It's miles and miles of factories. The air is so clogged and polluted because they don't put filters or anything on their stacks. And you wonder why they're all choking and stuff over there. Why the Olympics, they had to shut down the factories to have the Olympics in China. Because they don't do environmental protection. They don't have environmental protection laws. We do in the United States and in other countries in Europe, but not in China, because it's not profitable for the elitists. I'm going to show you this here. Take a look at this. Overpopulation is a scam. This is a misconception that a lot of people seem to have just accepted. The fact is, we are not overpopulated at all. Here is a thought experiment with a little mathematics. Please bear with me. Hypothetically speaking, if you allot 3 square feet of space per person, standing room only, they would take up only 20,702,201,664 square feet. That's 742 square miles. The same as a square is 27.25 miles on each side. If each man, woman, and child had a home with a garden that took up 2,500 square feet, 50 by 50, then the total space would be 6,018 by 824 square miles, or 786 miles square. That is just a bit less than Australia's landmass of 666,900 square miles. In layman's terms, that's a home with a garden at 50 by 50 for every man, woman, and child on the face of the planet, with land left over in Australia and still all the rest of the world available. Now I know Australia is mainly a desert, but this is a hypothetical thought process for population versus land mass, so you'll know that you've been lied to all this time. This is another way of looking at it. I'm not going to go over this. The figures are 103 trillion square feet, and it converts to 3,794,066 square mile area. And this is the United States, and it comes down to that everybody could have a 0.295 acres. What does this all mean? Well, every man, woman, and child could have a 0.355 acres of land and have more land than the average American has today. Thinking about the people living in apartments and stuff. Here is a visual representation of how it works if you don't get a lot of visuals. I'll have a link to this above top secret website of this particular article on overpopulation scam. Now I'm going to take you down to where it says it's deeply flawed. This is the reason why. Population 101.
The myth of overpopulation originated in England in 1798, when a vicar named Thomas Malthus, who fancied himself something of a mathematician, saw that food production increased incrementally, but people reproduced exponentially. He sat down and did some simple math, and summarily decided that the world would be out of food by 1890. He blamed reduced mortality rates, and recommended killing off the have-nots of society, lest the haves starve to death. This cry was taken up by Paul Ehrlich of Stanford University in 1968, who claimed that reckless human reproduction had overwhelmed the Earth. Massive famines would result, which would destroy, best case scenario, 1/5 of humanity by the end of the 70s. And the planet would follow. This fear produced large donations for the newly created UNFPA, which thrives on an imagined crisis that has been both imminent and rescheduled again and again over the past 2 centuries. The truth of the matter is that every family on this planet could have a house with a yard and all live together on a landmass the size of Texas, which is really just a small corner of the planet. The population of Earth will peak in 30 years and then start to go back down. We're not overpopulated. Do the math. From the time of the cavemen all the way until today, humanity continues to exist because each generation of people has produced another generation to replace itself. Scientists have figured out how many people need to be born each generation to replace the generation before. That number is 1 person per person. All things being equal, this creates perfect demographic balance. Since women are the only ones who can have children, replacing every person on Earth means each woman needs to have 2 children, one to replace her, and the other to replace the man, who cannot have children. The total fertility rate is the average number of children each woman in a society is having. This number shows us if a society is growing or shrinking. In developed countries, the replacement rate birth rate is 2.1 children per woman. This will keep the population stable, but even that is assuming that every woman has children, and that there are no wars, famines, or disease. In the real world, disasters happen all the time, and sadly not all children reach adulthood, especially in poor countries. This pushes their replacement rate up to 3.3 children per woman. Since not every woman wants to have children, in order to keep the population stable, some women need to have more than 2.1 children to balance the birth rate with the women who are only having 1, or no children at all. Maintaining this balance is of the utmost importance. If society does not at least replace itself every generation, human numbers begin to fall exponentially. Economic and social problems appear, as elderly people retiring begin to outnumber young people entering the workplace. This is already happening all over the developed world. Many of the world's nations are only barely replacing themselves, while a growing majority have birth rates below replacement, some as low as 1.8 or even 1.2 babies per woman. Many societies are facing a very real danger: extinction. According to believers in overpopulation, there are so many of us on the planet that food production cannot possibly keep up. However, According to both the UN's Food and Agricultural Organization and the World Food Program, there is currently enough food on the planet for everyone to be well fed. Not only that, but we're growing this food on less land than we did in the past. This is why in the United States, for example, the government can afford to pay farmers not to grow food, but instead return their farmland to the wild. Modern technology also allows us to grow food on land where it would have been impossible to do so, even a few years ago. Agricultural experts even believe that Africa, if cultivated using modern farming methods, could eventually feed the whole world, all by itself. Then why are people in many parts of the world starving? The World Food Program lists key causes of hunger, and overpopulation is not on that list. War, one of the leading causes of world hunger, destroys crops and disrupts relief efforts. Widespread poverty prevents many from buying the food that they need. And a lack of infrastructure means that there isn't a reliable way to transport food to areas that need it. This is why reducing the number of hungry people will not make the remaining people less hungry. Those who have access to the food will continue to have access to it, and those who don't will still be hungry. Reducing population will not magically cause food to be spread around equally. And blaming overpopulation for everything does nothing but distract us from the real problems that we actually have. Think about it.
And those videos were brought to you by YouTuber Galiner Gastov. He's the one that originally posted these on YouTube, and it's called the Overpopulation Debunked Part 1, 2, and 3. If you want to check out, I have to give credit to him because those are really good, very good explanations of what's really going on. I'm glad he made those. And that's for now. But there you go. Now you have the information. What's really going on with overpopulation. It doesn't exist. With all the facts out there, don't listen to these people in white coats that get on TV and tell you that it's carbon causing all this, like the IPCC. They're telling you it's people causing all this. We got to take money out of your pocket and put it in ours to stop it. Now, how in the hell is that going to stop anything? That money's not going to do a damn thing anywhere. They're saying it's just like when they go and say we got to give aid to a country that just had disaster. Look at Haiti. They went down there, and do they have houses? Do they have everything they need? No, because that money did not go where it was supposed to do. It was supposed to get building materials and all that. Those people are still living in tents down there. They haven't done nothing. They took billions of dollars and stuffed it in their pockets, and those people are still starving to death in Haiti. And now they're being flooded out. And now they got cholera. Why? Because they didn't do a damn thing when they went down there. It was all a scam. When you people start seeing the scam, you'll probably start waking up if you start recognizing it what it is. Don't sit there and let them tell you it. Oh, I don't know why that the money went down there and nothing happened. Yeah, they should be living in houses, wooden houses. There was enough money to build every one of them a wooden house, at least a shed to live in instead of a tent. And food, yeah, plenty of that. There was all types of money sent down there. Hey, everywhere they go and they say they're giving this money and everything. And when you see these things on TV saying, please support this poor child and everything, you know that 90% of that money goes into somebody's pocket on the way, and only about 10 cents gets to the actual child that's being sponsored. 10 cents gets to them. You know, it adds up, I guess, if 1 million people are sponsoring the same child, the child probably is doing pretty good. I mean, but it's just that on the way, most of that money disappears in the people's pocket who started the scam of, please help this child here. We got people in our own countries that are starving to death. We got people on the streets now that don't have any homes. Why are we not helping them out? Because it's not profitable to do that, because it's too close to home. You would recognize that things weren't being done with the money because it's that close to home. But if it goes overseas, out of sight, out of mind, you never see it. Until next time, this is Spellbinder. I gotta go now. It's almost 15 minutes. Just want you all to wake up, do your research, do your homework, be good, be better at it, and wake up. That's all I can say. Good day and good life.